Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now, if you've been around here lately, you might have noticed we've started a new series on this channel reviewing Fursona species. They're all little short-form videos that are part of my shorts here, my reels on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, etc. So feel free to check those out. That will be going on all month, but I didn't want to leave my long-form video enjoyers out of the fun. So the next few long-form videos will be on the topic of Fursona species as well. And that leads me to today's video, where as diverse as the different types of Fursonas that are out there, you start to notice that furries tend to stick to pretty similar species. And it makes sense. A lot of the decision-making that goes into creating a Fursona is drawing upon your life experience, and many people, especially in the West, tend to have been exposed to the same set of animals to draw inspiration from. But that doesn't mean furries have to be restricted to just animals that they're familiar with. In fact, today I want to offer 5 animal species that I don't see very often in the fandom, but I still think would make awesome Fursonas. So let's take a look at 5 Fursona species that I have never seen. And please don't get mad at me, just because I haven't seen them doesn't mean that there aren't Sonas of some of these out there. I'm not omnipresent in this fandom, okay? All right, let's get into the list here, and we're gonna start with something a little small. The first animal species that I would like to see more species of in this fandom are pangolins. As far as mammals go, pangolins are pretty unique. For a class of animals characterized for having fur or hair, pangolins are covered in scales, which kind of makes them look like scaly anteaters or walking pine cones. They're not very big or heavy, and despite how they look, they're more closely related to cats, dogs, and even bears than they are armadillos or the aforementioned anteaters. Though, unfortunately, the first thing that many people learn about pangolins is that, other than humans, they are the most trafficked land mammal on Earth, which has led to a rise in their conservation efforts. Now, that last point may be why there's a little bit of hesitation to base a Fursona off of one, but I am personally surprised that there's not more, despite there being a pretty popular Pokemon design after them. Either way, I think these cute little creatures would be a great fit for a lot of people's Fursonas. There's a lot of things you can do with the personality of a character who's covered in scales, but soft at heart. Plus, imagine how unique of a fursuit this would be to create and wear around. Give it a splash of color and you'll instantly stand out amongst a crowd. The second animal species that I would like to see more of in this fandom are binturongs. Now, if you've never heard of a binturong before, it's probably because they are typically referred to as bear cats, which is interesting. After all, they're not closely related to bears or cats at all. But I still love these things. They spend most of their time up in trees or rainforests and use their prehensile tail to maneuver themselves around the branches. And my favorite fact about them is that apparently they smell like popcorn. Now, my guess as to why there aren't more of these running around in the furry fandom is that at first glance, they have I guess I'll call it a distinctive look. It doesn't look like there's much light behind those eyes. But I think the artists in this fandom are talented enough to turn them into cute Fursonas, especially with a face like a cat's and a body like a bear's. Oh, and with a tail that massive relative to the size of the body, who could say no to that? Moving right along here, the third animal species that I would like to see more Fursonas of in this fandom are peacocks. This is probably one of those species where there are actually some of them out there and I just haven't been introduced to one personally, but even still, I'm surprised these birds aren't more common in the fandom. Unlike the last two that we just went over, they really don't need an introduction. Most people know what peacocks look like, especially the males with their vibrant tails. There are also a lot of examples of anthropomorphic peacocks in media as well. My personal favorite being Lord Shen from Kung Fu Panda 2, who is still my favorite animated movie villain of all time. So if you think about it, all of the parts of generating an idea for a Fursona are already there. Relative familiarity, a signature feature, and examples of temperament and personality in other media. And sure, maybe I've just been blind this whole time and there are a good amount of them in this fandom, but I don't know how I could miss them. Those tails are pretty easy to spot. Actually, this next one is in a very similar vein, but another Fursona species that I'm surprised there aren't more of in this fandom are geckos. Now, there isn't a shortage of reptiles in this fandom. I think the scaly community does a good job at keeping the fandom covered with those. But most of the scalies that I see jump straight into the big boys like crocs and alligators. Rarely do I see Sonas of these smaller examples, but like geckos. And just like peacocks, people generally know and have an understanding of what geckos are. There's been plenty of examples of them in the media as well. Here in the US, there's a popular insurance company that has a mascot of one, and even video games like Gex feature the reptile as well, though I might be dating myself with that particular example. Either way, like I said, the reptile community in the fandom is doing a great job at keeping their numbers up, but with such variety and colors of the designs of them, it'd be great to see more geckos running around in this fandom as well. Alright, one more, and this one is a personal favorite of mine. The last Fursona species that I would like to see more of in this fandom are Fursonas. Now, if you think that this is a particularly specific request, then you're not wrong. Fursonas in and of themselves are quite specific, being endemic to the island country of Madagascar. You also might think I like them because they are cats, but in reality, they just look like cats. They're actually more closely related to mongooses and civets, though, I mean, come on, that looks really close to a feline. But what I really love about Fursonas are the lore that they have, or lack thereof. Because their entire population is only in Madagascar, not much is known about them other than what they look like. This means that many legends and stories about them have developed over time. Tales include believing that just their scent can kill birds, that they can constrict their pupils so much that they disappear completely, and that if a Fusa licks you while you're sleeping, you'll be unable to wake up. Now, of course, most of this sounds pretty far-fetched, but that just speaks to the aurora that Fursonas have. And if I had to choose to make another Sona from this list, this is definitely what I would be going with. Now, of course, everyone has their own reasons for choosing one Fursona species over another, and a lot of it comes down to how connected they feel to that animal itself. This is why canines dominate so much. We are just presented with them and understand them at a deeper level that it's pretty easy to create meaningful Fursonas from them. But if this fandom really wants to champion diversity of thoughts and ideas, then we as a community shouldn't feel so hesitant to look at the further fringes of the animal kingdom to try and create Fursonas out of. It offers a unique challenge for members of the community and comes with the implicit reward of sticking out and being unique amongst a fandom filled with wolves and foxes. And I'm sure there are a bunch more examples of underutilized species of animals in this fandom, but for me, these 5 are the ones that I would like to see more of myself. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you all on the next one, but until then, stay wild out there. Peace.